In an age ruled by ambition, where wealth was worshipped, power was everything, and status decided a man's worth, one young noble did the unthinkable. He walked away. He abandoned privilege, silks, feasts, a future of simplicity, and without worry for himself, choosing instead the cold, bare earth of poverty. He saw beauty where others saw nothing. He loved creation with the wonder of a child, and from that radical simplicity, he sparked a revolution of the spirit that reshaped Christianity forever. This is the story of Saint Francis of Assisi, the man who spoke to birds as companions, creating the very first nativity scene in Greccio, inviting people to encounter the humility of Christ in a new, powerful way. He crossed battle lines during the Crusades to meet Sultan Malik al-Kamil, to choose peace over violence. Mount Alvernia, he received the stigmata, an accomplished saint that everyone admires. Francis of Assisi began life far from the saint we know today. Born in 1181, he grew up in a soft, wealthy merchant family, surrounded by fine clothes, music, and celebration. As a young man, Francis was the hero of every party, saving everyone from boredom, known as King of Youth in Assisi. But beneath all the laughter, something in him was unsettled. He craved greatness and glory, and he believed he would find it on the battlefield. He joined a military campaign, dreaming of becoming an unforgettable knight that people write stories about. After a long-fought battle, he became a prisoner of war. During one night of his imprisonment, he had a dream where a voice asked him,
"Francis, who can do more for you, the servant or the master?"
The question shook him. He returned home confused and restless, and contemplated everything. One day, while praying in the crumbling church of San Damiano, Francis heard another voice, this time from the crucifix itself.
"Francis, rebuild my church."
He took the command literally, selling his father's cloth to fund repairs. His father was rightfully furious, and in a dramatic and symbolic moment in the town square, Francis stripped off his fine clothes, declaring,
"From now on, I have no father but God."
He walked away wearing only a simple tunic. In that moment, Francis was finished with wealth and chased the glory of God. Now that he has renounced his old life, Francis embraced absolute poverty with a joy that shocked everyone that recognized him. He begged for stones to rebuild broken churches that he promised God he would rebuild. He cared for lepers no one else would come near, let alone touch. He preached a message of humility, peace, and simple, radiant faith. And this is where the amazing stuff begins. People were drawn to him. By 1209, a small group of followers gathered around Francis, admired his sincerity. They traveled barefoot, slept under the open sky, and preached repentance wherever they went. Francis wrote a simple rule of life for his growing brotherhood: to preach and live out the gospel, live in total poverty, and live a chastity life. Together they traveled to Rome to seek approval from Pope Innocent III. This is one of many miracles that began to occur for Francis, because the Pope had a dream of Francis holding up a collapsing church, a sign that this humble young man that would bring a refreshing perspective of the faith. And with that, the Franciscan Order was born, beginning a movement that would spread across the world. At the same time this was happening, Francis was improving his ability to communicate with animals. Francis is remembered not only for his life accomplishments, but for the extraordinary love he had for all creation. He loved the world as if it was family. He called the sun
"Brother Sun,"
and the moon
"Sister Moon,"
seeing the beauty of God through them. Francis believed that every creature, every bird, every animal, every part of nature praised God simply by being what it was created to be. An interesting story about Francis preaching to a flock of birds. Instead of flying away, they gathered around him, listening as he thanked them for their song. There was a famous story from the town of Gubbio. The population lived in fear from a fierce wolf attacking livestock and people. The town tried to get rid of the wolf, but exhausted all their options. By surprise, Francis walked out the city gate with no armor or weapon, only faith. The wolf charged toward him. Francis simply raised his hand and made the sign of the cross. Francis said,
In the name of Christ, do not harm another soul again, Brother Wolf.
Everyone was astonished as the wolf stopped. Its body softened and bowed its head as if it understood. Francis made peace with the wolf. He promised the townspeople the wolf would protect them as long as they feed him. As this occurred, Francis was still on a mission to bring peace from the Crusades and speak with Sultan Malik al-Kamil. In the middle of the Fifth Crusade, armies clashed outside the walls of Damietta in Egypt. Francis of Assisi made a decision no one expected. He crossed the battlefield not with soldiers, not with weapons, but with nothing except his faith and a desire for peace. Francis was escorted before Sultan Malik al-Kamil, a powerful leader in the Muslim world. With humility, the Sultan welcomed him with respect and curiosity. For several days, the two men sat together, shared meals, and spoke openly about God, faith, and the meaning of peace. Francis preached the gospel with sincerity and love, telling the Sultan about his devotion to Christ and his hope for the salvation of every soul by ending this crusade war. This discussion was not enough to convince the Sultan. Their dialogue was marked not by anger or argument, but by mutual respect. This meeting didn't end the war, but Francis, having the courage, humility, and genuine compassion, gave him the opportunity to discuss the possibility of it. The use of violence would have never been given the opportunity to seek peace. That is the lesson to learn. After some time during his winter arc, Francis arrived back high in the mountains of Greccio. Wanting to create a more vivid and memorable divine encounter with Christ that was not expensive and everyone could enjoy and benefit from, that was not exclusive to the rich. He cooked up a marvelous idea, but he first needed a cave and some materials. Francis presented the idea to his Franciscans brethren, and they nodded in unison. So they began to work on the idea and stayed away from expensive material or objects, because he wanted his idea to be historically accurate as much as possible, using a donkey, an ox, and hay on a manger to make the first poverty nativity scene in the cave. He was preparing the first reenactment of the birth of Christ. Francis looked at the cave and said,
Let this be our Bethlehem. Let every heart that enters remember the humility of Christ.
Everyone is in tears of joy from the Nativity in celebration of the sacred birth. Over the manger, the Eucharist was celebrated. Francis describing to the people that the same Christ who once lay in a manger now came to them in the sacrament. Francis established a new tradition that started in the mountains and is now a global tradition, reminding people what Christmas is about. The following year, on a 40-day fast, Francis and Brother Leo accompanied him to Mount Laverna. Francis frequents there to contemplate and prepare himself for the feast day of St. Michael from the 40-day fast. As days passed in contemplation, his heart open and his spirit longing for union with Christ. As Francis prayed, a light shined through from heaven. Before him appeared a seraph, radiant and breathtaking, resembling the form of the crucified Christ. Wings outstretched, the heavenly figure hovered in a blaze of divine fire. Francis was overwhelmed, not with fear, but with a love so profound it pierced him to the core. In that moment, the wounds Christ received from the cross now appeared on Francis's own body. Pain and glory intertwined. It was as if the suffering love of Christ had been imprinted directly onto him. Francis longed to know the love Christ had for everyone. dying on the cross. Brother Leo witnessed everything on this retreat. He dropped to his knees in tears and saw the wounds, bleeding and unmistakable, marking a new miracle, its first from its kind. After 2 years, Francis passed away. The world recognizes Francis for his love towards Christ and the faith he held on from leaving a comfortable, rich life to one of poverty and love. Today, millions journey to Assisi every year. Pilgrims, seekers, and wanderers, drawn by the same spirit that once moved a young man to embrace poverty, peace, and compassion. The Franciscan Order, born from Francis's simple yes to God, continues his mission across the world, serving the poor, caring for creation, and offering peace where there is none.